At very short notice, with all the developments, taking place in some of the districts where reports are happening and where there are some issues of security and all that. So now the CEO Nagaland, Sir Shashank, will brief the gathering.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here with all of you again. We have been constantly interacting. Now we are at the last stage, so to say, of the election process, where tomorrow the counting will take place. And I'm sure all of us are together in hoping and praying that everything will go off smoothly in the counting also, and everything will end peacefully. Some very basic things, you all know it, but just for reiterating, counting will start at 8 a.m. tomorrow. As is the standard laid down procedure, the postal ballots are the counting starts with the postal ballots, and if after half an hour also the postal ballots counting is not complete, then the EVM counting starts. It doesn't wait for the postal ballots to end. So each of the assembly constituencies, 59 assembly constituencies, counting has to take place. It will take place simultaneously. So arrangements have been made. Out of 59, 39 assembly constituencies already have an earmarked separate room for these constituencies, and 26 more will be it's a bigger hall, but as per standard norms, there's a separate partition has been made, separate entry and exit. Those arrangements are there. So each assembly constituency will be going on simultaneously. Security arrangements, very elaborate security arrangements are in place. The outer cordon is made up of the state police. The second or the middle cordon consists of the state armed police, and the innermost cordon consists of the central armed police forces. As you know the procedure, in addition to the EVM counting, which will be done round-wise, in the end there'll also be a separate booth for VVPAT counting booth, which we call it, where 5 randomly selected polling stations per assembly constituency, there will be mandatorily verification of the paper slips. So this has been there from before this arrangement, where in each constituency 5 randomly selected polling stations, their physical paper slips will also be counted and tallied with the EVM count which was obtained. There are 59 counting observers, 1 per constituency who have been deployed by the Election Commission. These are the broad arrangements for counting, and very elaborate arrangements have been done. Counting staff is there, they have been trained. In each table there will be counting staff deployed. So enough arrangements are there in place. Today we had repoll in 4 polling stations. Everything has gone off smoothly in these polling stations. In Zoneboto, 35 Zoneboto, we had 1 polling booth which closed in time, 54.16% voting. In Vokha, the 1 polling booth, 67.66%. In Mon, there was 1, 41 Tijit under that constituency, 97.55%. Noklak district, 57 Thonoknyu, 69.81% voting. So our voting percentage, since now these 4 also have to be adjusted, but before that it was 85.9% our voting percentage, but we'll have to adjust for what happened today, so we'll give you the updated figures accordingly. So just to again remind everyone, there are 2,291 polling booths which will be counted tomorrow during the counting. I know many of you have been asking about the reasons for the repoll. Commission has a very elaborate system before it takes any decision on repoll. So the observers, general observers who are there in the field, they give their reports. Commission has also takes into account various material circumstances like videographic evidence which is available. And finally, as we conveyed to you yesterday, also 4 polling stations repoll has been held today. I'll only touch upon broadly what happened. In two polling stations under Zuneboto and Noklak districts, there was clear videographic evidence available of proxy voting. In two polling stations under Mon and Wokha district, there is a standard laid down protocol for EVMs and how to close the polling, how to handle the EVMs. So these protocols were not followed. So that is how in Mon and Wokha we had repoll. So these are the broad arrangements. Noklak, there has been a law and order issue. You are all aware about it. If the police nodal had been here, he would have given more details. So I'll very broadly only touch upon it. Since yesterday there has been a law and order issue there, and then sufficient security was there. Our administrative officers were there in the field. Unfortunately, one life has been lost. But since post-mortem has not been done yet, it will happen only tomorrow. So I won't be able to comment on the reason for the death. As of now, the situation is under control, and we are confident. I'm in touch with all the police officers, administrative officers in the state level also and district level also. So the entire machinery is confident that the counting will also happen smoothly. We had in fact during the daytime deployed one team, one officer, administrative officer, one senior police officer and one officer from the election department. A 3-member team was physically placed in Noklak. They were airlifted by chopper to Noklak just to oversee the law and order situation there. So as I mentioned to you, situation is very much under control now, and we are confident that everything will happen smoothly. So this is the broad overview of the situation, and as I said in the beginning, I'll say now also that I'm sure all of us are together in praying that everything will happen smoothly. Thank you.
Yeah, has one or two questions to ask. Time is given now.
Yes, since you've mentioned that the law and order situation is now under control, earlier during the day, I think the locals have decided not to bury the body and keep it at the public ground there in Noklak. Has it been buried now? What is the situation?
I don't want to go into details. As I said, tomorrow we are having a proper press conference, so the police nodal also will be there. He'll give you all the details. As I said, our team was deployed there, administration, police were fully involved in that. So that issue of not burying the body, that issue is no longer there. Only the post-mortem has to happen tomorrow, and last rites will be performed accordingly. So that no longer is an issue, and law and order wise things are completely under control.
There's also a viral video from Longland where the health minister, the security forces were confronting the health minister from entering the polling station and several others who were in the queue. What has been the investigation of that video so far? Because I've also spoken to the DC there and was informed that the clip is under verification. If people were allowed after 4 p.m., what was the situation?
I had discussed with our police officers also and our administrative officers. So in general, you see a lot of complaints during polling, pre-poll come from different quarters, especially the political parties, candidates, and each has their own version of what happened. So each of these is looked into. There's a certain protocol in place. And in fact, during scrutiny, which as I mentioned, after the polling the next day, when scrutiny of documents happens and scrutiny of available evidence happens, that's how we found even in videography, that's how this repoll also happened, as I mentioned, proxy vote. So all complaints are taken into account. And regarding that specific incident which you mentioned, details will be available at the district level, so I don't want to comment on the specifics of it, but in general what the police officers have also given feedback is that nobody was allowed to enter the unauthorized person, no unauthorized person was allowed to enter the polling booth, and beyond 4 p.m. also only those who are allowed as per norms. As per norms, people are allowed. If at 4 o'clock, if you are in the queue, you are given tokens, Because you are a genuine voter, if you are in the queue, you should be not denied that opportunity. So those tokens are given, and those who have token, then the voting will continue beyond 4 o'clock also.
Besides the one killed in Nagaland, were there any casualties, injuries?
No, beyond that there has been no such incident which has been brought to our notice.
I've also received reports that former legislator Itachu from Meluri constituency was not allowed to cast his vote, nor were his supporters able to cast their vote. Is that true? Is that to your knowledge, sir?
That such a complaint has not come to us. If at all such a complaint, formal complaint has been lodged, certainly at the district level, the RO and DO and the SP, they will all be aware about it, and I'm sure they would take appropriate action. So offhand, I don't want to comment upon it. As I said, officially no such complaint has come to us.
Nagaland TV, Sob Manulaga Awas. Watch us live on Geo TV and on your television sets as well. For Dimapu viewers, we are on channel number 994 in Global Chapter, and Kohima and Mokokchung viewers, switch to channel number 138 on Hornbill Digital. For all news and updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.